Welcome to the Mama Needs a Moment podcast. We are your hosts, Chrissy
and Cindy,
co-founders of Her Health Collective.
We are two moms obsessed with changing the way moms take care of themselves. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome back.
If you haven't listened to part 1 of our conversation with Ruth Klein yet, it is definitely one you will not want to miss. We talk so much about parenting and just the different ways we can choose to show up consciously and consciously parent. We talk a lot about intentions and values and how we choose to show up in our role as a parent and in life. And we look at things like role modeling and how we show love to our children. It is an incredibly powerful conversation that anyone that's a parent should probably take a moment and listen to. And today we are diving into part 2 of our conversation with Ruth, which is also power-packed.
Absolutely. In this episode, we go in deeper into the relationship between the parent and child, which in turn helps the child to value their gifts and talents, create emotional, mental, spiritual growth for them, and helps them in their development of their self-esteem and security.
So many of the moms in our community spend so much time, myself included here, spend so much time worrying and fretting about all the ways we are quote unquote failing our children. We often think about the importance of letting perfectionism go. This applies to all areas of life, including parenting. But as parents, it's only natural for us all to have a deep desire to want to do better for our kids. Can you talk us through how can we be more present and active as a parent? I know I heard you say put the phone down, but we're busy at work. We have stress about the to-do list. There's birthday party presents we need to buy. And I mean, I guess I'm going a little young. My child's in kindergarten, so I'm thinking of these younger examples, but there's so much to do. And so much of what you said is this heart-centered, leading with your heart. And I love it. Tell me the to do. How do I do this?
That's going to take a couple of sessions because there's so much in there. There's so much in there. But if I had to tackle it on a higher plane, because there's so many little pieces there that make it all work. The first one is, moms, you've got to know you're doing a great job. That fear of not getting it all done, that fear, oh my God, I yelled at them. Now they're going to be psychologically hurt for the rest of their lives. No. I'll give you another example. There is a gal, an adult woman, a mom, who has 4 kids, and she doesn't discipline them because she's afraid they won't love her. The husband disciplines them in a loving way. And I found out with the parent that her mother was very anxious, got on her a lot, disciplined her overboard by yelling and stuff like that, which made the parent think, I can't do that because my child won't love me, because she must have had her own feelings of not being loved. And that has a whole myriad of issues in that. The husband, the dad, the mom disciplined him, and he adores his mom. Now, what just happened? The parent needs to build self-confidence. The parent needs to understand that what a child really, really needs at the end of the day, it's not more toys. It's not going more places. It's being able to sit down, look mom in the eye. Mom or dad is looking at me in the eye, and they're listening, and they're commenting, and they're hugging me, and they tell me they love me, and they tell me I hear you. Because at the end of the day, there is what's called an invisible thread. One of my chapters is called The Invisible Thread. What's an invisible thread? we have to back up a little bit. Why is it that children of all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of parenting, some end up going a healthy route, some don't? What is that? Well, there's a myriad of reasons why. However, there is one constant, and it's that invisible thread. As long as a child feels loved, seen, accepted from one of the parents consistently, that invisible thread is connected to that parent. When we think of really successful athletes, doesn't matter what team they're on or what sport it is, who's the first person they thank?
Usually a parent.
Usually
Yeah.
a parent. That's right. And why is that? And many of them had adversity growing up, like major adversity. What is that? I believe it's that invisible thread of connection. That's how powerful it is. Think about your best friend as a mom. What is it that keeps you together? It's that invisible thread of connection. And moms, dads, that's all you need. That's all you need, because you're going to make mistakes. And some are going to be bigger than others. Not because you want to, not because you're a horrible person, because you're human. However, if you have that invisible thread connected to a child, you'll be amazed at what happens. And so I can tell you with confidence, moms, as long as you love your children and you show them that, they're going to be fine.
You know what I love about this is that it's completely simple and completely not at the same time.
Right.
Connection is everything. I mean, what I love about it is it takes all the pressure that we put on ourselves to make sure they're in the extracurriculars, or that they're getting all their vegetables at dinner, and that they've brushed their teeth twice a day. And like, there's this stuff, there's so much pressure. But when you take all that away and you get down to this invisible thread, it's that relationship you have with your child. And that's what, at the end of the day, we're all going to remember when we've reached the end of our time here on earth. We're going to remember that relationship that we have, both mother and child. So I think that's very beautiful.
And that's the generational legacy piece, is that connection. I was most recently in North Carolina, and my parents were both, they came over after the war, and my son was there, and someone else who does Holocaust studies was there. And she was asking me all these questions. And David, my middle child, was listening. He goes, "Wow, I didn't know that. Wow, I didn't know that." And she said, "Well, have you ever been interviewed, Ruth?" I said, "No, but my parents have been. They're no longer alive, but they were interviewed." And the gal said to David, "You need to interview your mom." So we also need to share with our children stories about our lives. It helps bring in empathy. It helps bring in understanding. We would have family dinners every Friday night. And I have a lot of this in the book of how to create that connection that the kids look forward to, the parents look forward to. And I would invite my mom and dad, my brother, sister-in-law, and the kids, and my kids. My children are very athletic. And in high school, my boys wanted to go to a football game, right? Had to be on Friday nights. But they understood how important family is to me and to everyone that's an adult. And they picked that up by osmosis, that value, that family is important. So it was the cutest thing almost every Friday. "You know, Mom, this is a really big football game." They didn't ask to be excused from dinner, but they were basically saying, "Can they leave a little bit earlier?" And they went to the high school game, and it was something like the second half. And they never complained. And they never said, "Why don't you let us ever go when it starts?" That's what I'm talking about, the invisible thread. That's what I'm talking about, the generational legacy. And so David was listening in all this stuff, and he's going to be interviewing me now. And he knows a lot, but he doesn't know everything. And so children love stories. So Another way to do it is to have at least a few dinners as a family, even if it's spaghetti, ragu, and those sugar snaps. Those are green veggies. Even that, it's dinner. But the more important thing is you're connecting with the child, and let the child talk. And if you don't like something, do this.
She's biting her finger.
Bite your finger. Just bite it.
Or bite your tongue.
And
your lip.
yeah, exactly. And just listen. You don't have to agree. Just listen. Let them feel heard and let them know they feel heard. And it would be something like, wow, that's an interesting way to look at it. Tell me more. And they're going to go, oh my God, okay.
Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. Your website at universalmom.com shares different empowerment programs, authentic empowerment programs for children and teens in these different age groups. You have one for 8 to 11-year-olds, 12 to 14-year-olds, and 15 to 19-year-olds. These 3 age programs are specifically aimed at the emotional, mental, and spiritual level for each group. And they're intentionally focused on areas such as, I'm just going to list a couple of them: ability to value their gifts and talents and those of others, feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling validated, learning how to ask, how can I serve, using their gifts and talents, and how to go from quote unquote victim to co-creator. This, again, is a very short list of many of the extremely beneficial areas of focus that you list on the website. 2 of the listed benefits that I previously stated involve valuing their individual gifts and determining how they can use their gifts to serve the world. How can parents help to inspire their children to be themselves, create and implement their gifts without doubt and fear? I'm struggling with this, and I just would love some feedback.
Okay. There are many, many ways, but I'm going to share with you a few. Number 1, I've always volunteered, and I would bring my kids with me. And so I brought my youngest one, and he must have been 6. We were working, and it was a cold storage room, and the adults took off for lunch, and my little 6-year-old kept working. And I said, Daniel, don't you want to have some lunch? He goes, I will, but I have to do this. And once again, moms, dads, grandparents, your role models. Children see everything you do more than what you say. I did the marketing for a theater group. They had never made money before, and they couldn't pay me. And I thought, okay, that's fine. I'll just get tickets. And I got tickets for the whole family. The kids knew that is what I was doing. And they got to go to the programs, which they were Annie and Sound of Music. Now the kids love that as well. But they also knew that I was volunteering my time. And all 3 of them are exceedingly charitable. But the point is, we first have to role model it, right? And we have to verbalize it. We have to let our kids know. We've got to let them know along the way. And we can tell them through stories. And we tell them while we're doing it, what we're doing and why it's important to us. And we bring them along if we can, so that they can see it. My dad would take me with him. He had a lot of real estate. They came over from Europe with nothing, and they ended up getting real estate. And he would take me just on a, hot day, and he would water the plants. I was so happy I was with my dad, because he would talk to me about business. He would talk to me about real estate. And I was with my dad. And it was just he and I. And he had a lot on his mind. But at that moment, for those 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I was with my dad. And those are some of the best moments that I remember with my dad. He brought me along. And later on, he would talk to me about money and real estate and business and all these things that have only been to my advantage.
This episode is sponsored by Her Circle, the supportive and welcoming community for moms created by Her Health Collective.
Her Circle is a welcoming and supportive community for moms who are passionate about making change for themselves, their families, the community, and the world. Together, this village of women are revolutionizing the way moms take care of themselves.
From an active, private online community and the incredible daily chats hosted there, to our many gatherings, including support groups, Moms Night Out, volunteer opportunities, book club, family adventures, coffee chats, and so much more. We love providing moms the chance to connect and create authentic relationships with one another.
The network of experts in Her Circle are a phenomenal resource and provide great learning experiences for moms on topics ranging from women's health to parenting. We cover the issues that matter to moms the most, from virtual expert Q&As to one-on-one Wellness Minute consultations and support groups. We are committed to getting moms in front of the information, experts, and support they need most.
To learn more about Her Circle, head to www.herhealthcollective.com. We have a limited number of spaces and the doors only open a few times a year. So be sure to add your name to the no obligation waitlist so you are the first to know when the doors officially reopen.
Talk to your kids. If your strength is literature, talk to them. Let them know some stories. Let them know how you came about to love it. Give them ideas. If you love business, if you love to write, if you love art, I'll give you an example. I work with adults also, and I help them write books, and it's very healing. I had a beautiful woman. She was in her mid-60s, and she doodled beautifully, 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 beautifully. And then she would write in perfect printing, love, gratitude, acceptance all around it. And I said, oh my God, we've got to turn that into a book. And she said, oh, Ruthie, it's just doodles. Honest truth, shortly thereafter, all these doodle books came out for adults. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I know I'm a little advanced and I bring that to my clients, but come on. The point is, she did not value what came easily to her. Number one. Number two, she could not see beyond what was present for her at that moment. And I think that's another gift we can give our children. It's not about the past. It's about we get to start fresh today. It's about thinking about today to create a beautiful tomorrow. And this goes for moms. Let the past go. Let all that junk go, because that's what it is, and put it in the trash. All those thoughts of lesser than, I'm not good, lack of confidence, what's going to happen to my kid, let it go and put it in the trash. And then today's a new day. What's your intention? How do you want to be today? Yeah, but I was that way yesterday. No. Today. We are given gifts every single minute of the day. Not everyone is, but we are. We don't know how many minutes we have, and that's okay. We just want to pay attention to the minutes we have. So it's not, the dash between the birth date and the death. It's that dash that's the most important. You're living your dash right now, moms. How awesome is that?
Wow.
And that dash is
tingly.
Yeah, that dash is a continuum. So you think you screwed up. Okay, fine. Say it. I screwed up. Probably not, but say it if that's going to make you feel better. I screwed up, and today is a new day.
Is that what you meant earlier when I had mentioned that one of the focused areas is helping a child go from victim to co-creator? Is that what you mean?
Believe it. You
Okay.
better believe it.
So
And to co-create, doodles. Well, it's just doodles. Art. I can't really do anything with it because my parents said I can't make money. Oh, wait a minute. That tells me, let's look at some other pieces that make that up. You're creative. You see things that other people don't see. So we talk about all those things, and then how can we bring those pieces into something that they can co-create? It's the same thing when women or men have been in corporate America and they want to start a business. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if to become an entrepreneur. I don't know what to do. Really? Let's have a conversation. Come over here. Let's connect. And so those pieces, those strengths that held you in esteem, that you enjoyed, let's look at those and see how they're transferable over to being an entrepreneur. And then we can co-create. You and the universe can now, and the universe meaning your talents, God-given talents, God-given gifts. And now you're co-creating something new, being able to utilize who you are. Now, how does that transfer into the next chapter?
How do we help our child identify their learning and hearing style in the same way?
I love that. I love that.
Okay.
I often say, before I die, I've got to go into the school system. I've got to go into the school system. I've got to really focus in on teachers and the different learning styles, predominantly the three: auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. And so if a child says auditory words, they're likely more auditory. If they use visual words, they're most likely visual learners. And if they need to touch it or feel it, their chances are they're more kinesthetic learners. So I am very much a kinesthetic learner. Here's the interesting thing. If you have more than one child, or just even one child or one teen, you want to use all of them. You want to use the auditory, you want to use the visual, and you want to use the kinesthetic. And think of the kinesthetic as experiential. Now, that's how a lot of people learn, even though they may be auditory or visual learners. But experiential, that's why these experiential camps are so powerful. That's why these stories that you share with your children are so powerful. It's not just auditory, it's not just visual. You get them to get to the feeling part of it. Maybe you do an exercise. For example, this is going to be fun. I'm going to start doing collaborative books for children and teens. And I might ask them a question, depending on their age group. Draw a picture if they're young, draw a picture, and then tell us something about it. And we're going to also use an MP3 in these, so that there's going to be an ebook and a tangible book. So you're going to be able to hear your child when they were 6. You're going to be able to hear them when they were 9 or 13 or 14. And that's the experiential piece. And if they're really young, maybe a parent writes it down, and that goes in the book. And it could do that every year if you wanted to. So these are the kinds of things that are experiential. That's why children love to draw, almost any age, even the doodles. It gets them into it. And it's a great calm, it's a great release for tension. Drawing, playing outside. I had a universal mom, I had some teens, and they came to my place for 8 weeks. Let me share with you how powerful stories are, and they're allowing them to speak and to write. So I would give them a prompt, they would write about it, and then they would share out loud. So there was a senior who wanted to go to college, but she was getting, I think, a D- or F+, I don't know, in English. She had had several tutors before in English. She hated English. And after the 4th session of being together, again, I give them a prompt, they write, then they talk about it. Out of 8 sessions, after the 4th session we got together, she had her final in English. And the teacher gave her the paper, and she looks at it, and she immediately goes to her old place of, oh God, I can't do this. I can't do this. And then something clicked from what we discussed in one of the 4 sessions, and she started writing. When the teacher gave her back the paper, they said, where have you been all year? She got a B+. I think she got a C- in the class, because there was a lot of credit on that final. And the best part, she was going to take an English class in college. That's experiential. That's how important it is for children and teens to talk, to share. And we just listen. We don't stop them. We don't tell them it's full of whatever. We just listen. And if we don't agree with it, we say something like, well, that is really interesting. Tell me more. Because maybe they didn't fully understand it, or maybe it was just a thought. And we help them think it through. We help them talk it through. Think of talk therapy. So there's so many pieces of that. I'm hoping that you were able to hold on to one or two.
Oh, it's been so valuable. This entire conversation, you have right from the beginning, like I said, you came out of the gates and you just were boom, 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 giving us all this information that we can apply right away to our lives. And so thank you very, very much.
Yes, thank you. This is my purpose. My purpose is legacy. If I can help a child, a teen, an adult to live a happier, more productive life, I'm there. And that's my God-given gifts.
We will link to your books, the 7 books that you already have published. And now, is this
Thank
the
you.
8th book that's coming out?
This will be the 8th book. And for those who would like to do a pre-order, I'm going to have a 6-week masterclass on the things that we've been talking about. And that will be free with the pre-sale of the books.
And then Universal Mom, is that the best website to go for your programming, or do you have different websites?
I have ruthklein.com, which focuses on book writing, ghostwriting, finding, your genius zone, because that's what I help the kids do. I help them find their genius zone. And we as big kids, many times we don't know what our genius zone is. We've kind of lost where that North Star is. And so how do you regain, refine, how do you find that genius zone that we all have? We all have a genius zone, and much of it is God-given talents and gifts, things that we enjoy doing. And we need to reconnect with that piece, because that is the fastest way to build self-esteem and self-confidence, is to connect to your genius zone. Bar none.
And then universalmom.org, and that's where they would go to for the specific programming for kids.
Yes. And I just have to say that when we had to close down the Self Esteem Council because there weren't enough mentors, I cried. Oh my goodness. I was not a happy camper. That was the Thursday. And then Friday, I was at my desk and I literally had what I call divinely gifted download. And I started writing maybe 12 pages. I couldn't write fast enough what I was getting. And it was Universal Mom. I'm not smart enough to figure out those 3 age groups. Those age groups came down to me: 8 to 11, 12 to 14, 15 to 19. And the whole program. And I remember writing and saying, there's only one of me and there's a lot of kids. And then the sound came back: don't worry, sweetheart. You will certify mentors all over the world.
And then your soul-centered counseling, anyone can do the soul-centered counseling with you?
Yes, the soul-centered coaching, anyone can do. I do that with teens. I do that with adults, certainly.
And that helps them to find their God-given talent or their love, their passion.
It's redirecting them on a path that they want to go on. I'm thinking right now, an attorney contacted me and thought it was a work issue, but I always know it's never a work issue. It's always something beneath that. And so we started Soul Center Coaching, and it was amazing. I had another gal who had an addiction, and she thought it was a work-related issue too. And again, I knew it wasn't that. I didn't know what it was until we got into it, but it was an addiction. And she had worked with psychiatrists, she worked with psychologists, she worked with therapists, and she wanted to know what planet I came from, because she was able to turn that around. So that soul-centered coaching, depending on what's happening in your life. Here's the deal: if anyone feels not in alignment, it's time for soul-centered coaching. When you don't feel in an alignment, the universe is telling you, hello. Your spirit is telling you, hello. Let's get back on track. That's all it's telling you. Doesn't mean there's something bad with you or something wrong with you. Just means you're in misalignment.
It's wonderful to have people like you that help others find their way. So thank you very much.
And thank you, both of you, for doing what you do. It's vital. It's vital. So thank you for doing what you're both doing.
So many takeaways from this episode. It's hard for me to narrow it down to what I want to talk about as we wrap up. But one of the things that I did take from the episode was the high levels of anxiety that kids are experiencing nowadays versus 20, 25 years ago.
Yes, I loved the conversation about anxiety as someone with anxiety, as someone that sees anxiety, anxious tendencies in my child. I appreciated that conversation. I think it was very important to have. I also, from this section of our conversation, loved her message to moms, because we all need to hear that we're doing a great job. And I also love that she mentioned fear, because you and I have talked about this a lot, sort of this waffling between feeling fear and being consumed by it, and then choosing love and turning towards love. And I loved that she talked about how so many moms have this fear of not getting it all done, or I yelled at my child and I'm going to cause this horrible psychological damage. And, you know, her message is, no, that's not true. And the need for parents to build their own self-confidence when it comes to how they raise their children. And I think that's so important. I think that's very vital. And I think in doing that, she talks a lot about this idea of the invisible thread.
I loved that. That's
yes,
so good.
the whole time she was talking about it, all I kept thinking about was the power of relationships. And I've had a lot of opportunities in my life to reflect on the importance of relationships, and how, I think I mentioned this in the episode, that at the end of our lives, that is the one thing that's going to matter. It's not the accolades or the material objects that you have, or the awards or certificates you've gotten, or the money that none of that's going to matter. It's going to be the relationships that you have with people. That's the legacy. She talks a lot about legacy. That's the impact you've made. That's your memory. And I think that the invisible thread with our children is beautiful. It just simplified so much of my relationship with my daughter. It's about my daughter, your child, feeling loved, being seen, being accepted. And I think in that, she talked a lot about sharing stories of our lives with our children. And I don't feel like I've been at a stage of life yet where I've really done much of that. And I feel like I should start doing that, you know. And my daughter's 6. So I don't know, I guess maybe I'm like, she's too young, but I don't know. I think that's not true. There's definitely stories that I can share that are meaningful and would make an impact. And I really loved the idea of building that invisible thread and that connection through sharing of stories and building the empathy in that way.
Absolutely. I loved the invisible thread analogy that she had given, and that what the child needs is being able to spend time with someone that's going to actually listen and communicating with them. So having them interpret from your behavior as a parent that I hear you, I love you, I see you. And that goes so far with them. It was very validating to know that perhaps I am not messing them up as much as I thought that I have been messing them up. And I had to giggle when you were talking about sharing stories of our lives. I found that since the girls are a bit older, that I have shared stories with them, but it's pretty comical when it comes to, well, did you drink when you were young? Or
yes,
or, you know, those difficult questions. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to lie to you. And so it's pretty funny to share some stories with them in age appropriate ways.
Great conversation. We've enjoyed hanging out with you today, friend. We hope you got to finally enjoy a hot cup of coffee as you listened. Make sure you follow us so you're the first to know when we drop a new episode.
If you've enjoyed your time with us, let us know by leaving a review. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, stay true to you.